Do you have a retirement goal, but it feels fuzzy? Maybe you say, I just want to retire someday, but you have no plan or timeline. That vague goal is actually holding you back from feeling confident and actually achieving what you want in the future. This may be one area that once you get clear and defined, you realize there is no stopping your progress. Welcome to the Wealthy After 40 podcast, the show for Gen X women and couples who are ready to ditch financial stress and feel confident about retirement. I'm your host, Daylene Higgins, financial and retirement coach, helping Gen Xers master their money and create a personalized retirement plan so they can stop spinning their wheels and step boldly into their dream retirement. If you're feeling behind, don't worry. Continue listening to this podcast, as well as be sure to grab your free guide, 5 must-do steps to start retirement planning now, at elevatefinances.us/must-do. And remember, let's make retirement possible together. Welcome to the episode. So today we're talking about goals and why vague goals will keep you from moving forward. If you are just saying, well, I'm going to retire one day, that's really a plan of hope, right? We're hoping that will happen because there's no direction, there's no guidance. But I do think a lot of us struggle with the concept of goals, what it is, how to define it, and then what do I do next? And I understand it's a struggle of mine as well, but I have a solution for you. So I'm hosting a 4-day live challenge that will essentially help you understand how to create a goal and then turn it into action. So head over to elevatefinances.us/challenge to learn more, and I hope you'll join me. But this challenge is in September, the 23rd through the 26th, and it is going to help you get clear on your goal and turn it into a 90-day win. There's an investment of $9, but this will help you get you on your journey to making retirement possible. All right, back to the episode. Today, again, we're talking about goals. We'll be sharing a little bit about what we're talking about inside that challenge, where I will help you go deeper. And if you do attend the challenge, there's live coaching. There's your opportunity to ask specific questions for yourself, for your situations, as everybody is different. But first, what are goals? Goals are just basically things you want to achieve. I think sometimes we overthink this initial part. And so all you need to do is get your desires written down. So doing this step, and I'm going to give you a question to answer, is part of what we will complete in the challenge as what I call an achievement statement. And so I want you to answer the question, what is it that you want to achieve? And I just want you to freely answer this. And as you're looking at this, you might have several, but you might be thinking and keep going, right? This is a journaling more, step one is, what do I want to achieve? And you start thinking about some thoughts and writing those down and keeping going. And, oh, what about this? And, oh, what about this? And just spend as much time as possible with these thoughts and ideas. Doing this will help you with the next step, I promise. And once we get into that, being able to really get this idea of a goal, idea of something you can achieve, is so much easier to sit with initially. So what is it you want to achieve? Write it all down. You're going to have maybe more than one thing, because if you are headed to retirement, you're going to go, well, but I need to do this and I need to do this and I want to do this. Great. All of them. Because goals can be short, mid, or long term, or a variety of both. If you've heard my story, I share how I had a short-term goal and a long-term goal. And that was my focus, and that was where I sent my money. So this will help you to be able to follow in that same, idea of where does my money need to go? All right. So once you've exhausted, what is it that you want to achieve? Then we need to move on to step 2. And you've probably heard about SMART goals, and you're groaning, I know, because I do too. Anytime that pops up somewhere and I'm like, I know it's an acronym, I know it's supposed to help me create a goal, but it doesn't jive with me. However, the S is important. And I think the S is probably what most of us can understand and relate to. So it's time for you to take all of your thoughts and ideas from step 1 and to get more specific. This will help you to set better money goals. I want you to take 1. If you're looking at a sheet, you may not be doing this, but when you do this later, I want you to just start with 1. What is one of your desires? One of the things that you want to achieve? And to get more specific with these, if they are money goals, these are the 2 things you're going to want to include in step 2 to get specific. And that is, when do you want to achieve this? And how much do you need to do that? Right? Those are the 2 things that we need to answer for specific for a money goal. Step 2. That is it. Understanding the timeline, which is when you're going to achieve this, and how much you need to get there, is starting to define this goal into, okay, I'm seeing this develop and I know what it is. Now, if your question is like, well, I need to know how much I need to save for retirement, because that's the number. I've talked about it before, but it's also something that I help you answer inside my retirement roadmap session, and understanding it for you and for your situation and what that number looks like. There's a lot of calculators out there, information that way, but I think it's important to use your numbers as much as possible. So once you've identified those 2 things, when and how much, we now need to turn it into a yearly target. Okay, so I take it to a year because then we can evaluate if it is realistic or probable. Right? I have an example to explain what I mean by realistic and probable. If you want to retire in 5 years, yet you have not saved a penny, and you know you need to save $1.5 million, saving $300,000 a year is not realistic or probable, right? More than likely. But that is how you're looking at it. You're going, wow, okay, that isn't realistic. And I don't think it's probable. Now, when I say probable, we can be realistic and go, yep, that's real to me and I can do that. Now, probable is kind of giving you that stretch. I think that's important. I think it's important to realize, okay, that is, a possibility. I could probably do that. That's ideally where I want you to be, but it's okay if it's just realistic. So getting as specific as you can with the numbers and the dates will help you understand this target. And now if you're like, okay, hopefully this is not you. However, this individual, they can still make retirement possible. There's just some different things we have to address. But if you're like, okay, I've got my target, it is not quite realistic or probable, remembering your date and your amounts, can you tweak them slightly? What does that look like? How does that feel? That is where you're going to lean into that and kind of start making some adjustments there. Maybe your goal was too aggressive. Maybe, there's lots of different ideas. So this is the evaluation step to make sure it is realistic or probable. All right, now the how. You've got your goal. You created your goal. 3 steps. We've got a goal. How do you put this into action? Well, I need you to ask yourself that. What actions do I need to take to make this happen? So big goals, right? That 300,000 can feel paralyzing because they're often too big to act on. Now we've taken it down to a year to make it realistic and probable, but taking action on that in a year is still kind of vague, right? It's still not telling us exactly what we need to do. If you are paid bi-weekly in a year, you have 26 paychecks. If you are paid monthly, you have 12. These are your opportunities to do something for your goal, to take action on your goal. Think of these as a cycle. Between paydays is a cycle of the things that I can do to achieve this goal. But what I want you to do is, really bring this target down into milestones. Milestones are mini finish lines along the way to your bigger dream. So let me use another example to help you understand, quote, goals and targets and action steps. Let's say your goal is to pay off $20,000 of debt in 3 years, right? You wrote it down. Now you've made it. Is it realistic or probable? I hope so. By looking at a yearly breakdown at $7,000. And then you turn it into a monthly amount of $600 a month. Now, here is where you need to maybe adjust the timing. In my live challenge, I share it for a 90-day win. Again, thinking about your paychecks, which are cycles of opportunities. It's either 3 or 6 in a 90-day, gives you a little more wiggle room. But ask yourself what has to happen monthly, weekly, or even daily to make that milestone possible. And you're going to want to take these one at a time. But these small, repeatable actions are what actually creates results. And this is what I call moving from a desire statement to an action system. And again, if you're looking for that live support, this is exactly what I'll walk you through inside my challenge. Now, vague goals will always stay vague until you take that step of breaking them down into achievable actions. But really defining them correctly and following the steps to get you there will help you to be able to find those actions. And if you're thinking, I've tried this before and it hasn't worked, my challenge there, I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek. There are a few more things to consider than what we've talked about today. We've got to balance what is going on as well as what we want to do. And I'm going to talk about all of that inside the challenge. So over the 4 days together, I will show you how to write a clear achievement statement, turn that into a realistic money goal, and then break it down into 90-day milestones. Creating the actions for those 90 days, repeating that every 90 days is what's going to find your momentum. We may need to start small as our first step in building confidence, in seeing what can happen and if it's possible, but going through the system that I talk about in that Make Retirement Possible challenge is what is going to help you to get results. So again, it's happening live September 23rd through the 26th. And for just $9, you'll get 4 days of coaching, clarity, and action. So head over to elevatefinances.us/challenge and grab your spot. This is the best first step that you can take to move from a vague idea or a vague goal to taking action that will help you make retirement possible. I'm so excited to share my method inside of this challenge. The method fits in my overall framework of the Retirement Ready framework, from clarity, which we talked about last episode, plan, which there's a lot of plans that we need to have in place, but the action piece, which is this 5-step method inside my challenge to help you churn out results. So I hope you'll join me, and I'll see you next episode. Thanks for tuning in. I hope today's episode helped you take one more step toward mastering your money and creating a retirement plan that fits your life. If this episode gave you value, would you do me a quick favor? Follow the show, leave a review, or share it with another Gen Xer who needs this kind of support. And if you're ready and tired of trying to figure it out all on your own, be sure to book your one-on-one retirement roadmap session, and together we'll create your personalized plan so you can move forward more quickly with clarity and confidence. You can find that at elevatefinances.us/roadmap. to book your session today. And remember, retirement isn't just a dream, it's a plan, and let's make it possible together.